Hi, hello there. A very good day to all of you and welcome back to my channel. Today we would analyze G. Patel's poem on killing a tree. On Killing a Tree, published in 1966. G. Patel, born in 1940. G. Patel is a distinguished Indian poet, playwright and a painter. His poetry is known for its sharp realism and a deep engagement with the social and environmental themes. On Killing a Tree is one of his most famous poems, included in his 1966 poetry collection titled Poems. The poem is a striking metaphor for violence, destruction, and a human insensitivity towards nature. It describes in a calm yet unsettling manner the process of killing a tree, not just cutting it, but uprooting it entirely. G. Patel critiques humanity's reckless destruction of nature, using vivid imagery to highlight the tree's resilience and the brutal methods required to kill it. Summary of the poem. The poem begins with the statement that merely cutting a tree will not kill it. A tree does not die easily because it has grown slowly over time, absorbing sunlight, air, and water from the earth. Even if it is cut, new shoot will sprout and it will continue to grow. To truly destroy a tree, one must attack its roots. The poem describes this process in detail. The tree must be hacked, pulled out, and exposed to sunlight and air so that it dries up and withers completely. The final stanza presents the image of the tree's root drying up, twisted and lifeless, symbolizing the total destruction of life. Although the poem describes the killing of a tree in a factual, almost scientific manner, it serves as an extended metaphor for human cruelty, not just towards nature, but in broader contexts, including oppression, war, and violence. Characters in the poem. First of all, though there are no specific human characters, the poem presents two opposing forces. First one, the tree, that it represents life, resilience, and nature's strength. It is portrayed as a living being capable of enduring and resisting destruction. Next, we have the destroyer, that is, human beings in general, implied as the ones cutting the tree, representing human insensitivity, greed, and destructive tendencies. Now let's talk about the themes of the work. Destruction of nature. The poem highlights the brutality of deforestation, showing how humans destroy trees not just by cutting, but by uprooting them entirely. G. Patel criticizes mankind's indifference to environmental destruction and the irreversible consequences of such acts. Resilience of nature. The poem initially shows the strength of the tree, which continues to grow even after being cut. This symbolizes nature's ability to recover if not completely annihilated. Violence and brutality. The language of the poem is graphic and intense, describing the killing of a tree as an act of extreme violence. This may be interpreted as a metaphor for oppression, war, or human cruelty, where destruction is systematic and complete. human insensitivity and greed. The poem critiques how humans view nature as a resource rather than as a living entity. It reflects society's exploitative attitude not only towards trees but towards all life forms. Metaphor for oppression and injustice. Some interpretations suggest that the tree represents colonized nations, oppressed groups, or marginalized individuals. The act of uprooting mirrors systematic efforts of race identities, cultures, or movements. Now let's talk about the setting of the poem. The poem is set in a natural landscape, likely a forest or a place where trees are being destroyed. The setting is universal, as deforestation is a global issue. However, the absence of specific location details allows the poem's message to extend beyond the trees. It applies to any act of destruction, whether environmental, social, or political. Criticism and interpretation. Environmental message. Critics see the poem as a strong ecological statement about deforestation and the need for conservation. It resonates in contemporary times as environmental issues like climate change, deforestation, and habitat destruction continues to escalate. Psychological and social commentary. Some critics argue that the poem is not just about the trees, but symbolizes the erasure of identities, traditions, and communities. The idea that cutting a tree is not enough, one must uproot it, mirrors how oppressive systems seek to erase resistance completely. Allegory of political and social oppression. The poem can be read as an allegory of colonialism and a dictatorship, where powerful forces attempted to wipe out cultures or opposition. The tree's resistance before it is completely destroyed symbolizes how movements, identities, and beliefs persist even in the face of oppression. Irony and a detached tone. The poem describes the process of killing a tree in a cold, detached manner, making it sound systematic and illogical. This irony highlights the absurdity of human destruction, where something as sacred as life is reduced to a mere process. Literary devices and techniques used. Imagery. The poem is rich in visual imagery, describing the slow, painful destruction of the tree. For example, the line, "The bleeding bark will heal," creates an image of the tree as a wounded being, reinforcing its personification. The next literary device is personification. The tree is given human qualities, making it feel like a living, suffering creature. The roots rise up, the bark bleeds, and the tree absorbs sunlight, making it seem almost human. The use of extended metaphor. The tree is a metaphor for life, resilience, and strength, while the act of uprooting symbolizes systematic destruction. The poem can also be seen as a metaphor for colonization, war, or oppression. The use of free verse. The poem is written in free verse without a rhyme or a fixed meter. This makes it sound like a natural flow of thoughts, reinforcing the seriousness and realism of the subject. Symbolism. The tree symbolizes nature, life, and resilience. The act of uprooting presents ultimate destruction, not just physical but a cultural or ideological. Bleeding bark suggests pain, suffering, and the damage inflicted on living things. Now let's discuss the most important lines from the poem. It takes much time to kill a tree. This opening line emphasizes the tree's strength and resilience, suggesting that nature cannot be easily destroyed. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it. The line describes the deep connection between the tree and the earth, symbolizing life's steady growth and a dependence on nature. The next line, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. The leprous metaphorically shows the tree's rough bark, suggesting that even what seems lifeless can nurture new life and a regeneration. The next line, so hack can chop, but this alone won't do it. G. Patel points out that merely cutting or wounding the tree's surface cannot destroy it, highlighting the enduring vitality of nature. The next line, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. This line conveys the violent final act of uprooting, symbolizing complete destruction by severing life from its natural foundation. The next line, then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air. After being uprooted, the tree undergoes slow death, showing nature's suffering when separated from its source of life. The bleeding bark will heal. This line symbolizes nature's resilience and a regenerative power, implying that life continues to resist destruction despite human cruelty.